if it was a new career. I think it's an evolving career. And you said something really important about the little wins, because, I'm also a life coach, and I think that is so important for people to pat themselves on the back for those little wins. Your little win might have been, I did get out of bed today. Or your little win was, I crossed a couple things off that list of things I've been putting off, or whatever it is. If you could, at the end of every day, get in that habit of saying, yeah, I did some good stuff today.
Yeah.
And really celebrate it, because otherwise your nervous system just gets, oh, okay, well, that was no big deal. And then you're kind of on a flat line, where life isn't a flat line.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crystal Clear Business Podcast. Today, I have Beth Robbins from Balanced Life Productions. Welcome, Beth. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and see you again in person.
Yes, I know. Gotta love it.
Yes.
The speaker community is thriving here in San Diego.
Yes, it is. Who knew?
So I got to meet you at a really great event called Rock the Mic?
Rock Your Gift.
Yeah.
John Douglas Stewart.
Sean
He's got
Douglas
the big
Stewart.
long name.
Yes, exactly. So it was a pleasure seeing you speak. And why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what you do?
Well, I'm like what you would say, a work in progress. I have been a fitness trainer for 40 years. I started in kindergarten.
Wow.
Just kidding. And before that, I had a career doing musical theater on Broadway. So I went from this to that, and then tried to retire and felt this calling. I was supposed to be doing something more. I'm still a coach. I'm not the soccer coach. I'm not the fitness coach, but what is it? I'm supposed to be teaching people. And so it has evolved into life coaching and getting back on stage as a speaker, which is like coming home. It's like you step up there and you've got the lights in your eyes, and it's like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then just randomly became a children's author. I've launched a movement. It's the Carpe Diem, seize the day with your smile movement. And with that is, speaking tour with that, and then writing books. I have 5 books for children, 4th grade through 8th grade. And then I have 2 adult books on the same genre coming out also this year. So, we were talking earlier, when I woke up on New Year's Day of 2025, I had no idea that I was going to be a children's author. It was dropped in my lap the morning I was going to be speaking at another event. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about writing children's books? And I was like, nope, don't have time. And then, the universe had another plan for me. I thought about it for another minute and decided, you know what, I could write children's books. I think that's really important. And my message to the world, this Carpe Diem, seize the day movement, is really giving you the opportunity to go deep and decide, what does seize the day mean for me personally? It's not the Navy SEAL jump out of a plane, run into a burning building, save the world kind of feeling all the time. It's literally waking up in the morning every day and realize you have a choice and a chance how your day is going to go. And you can seize the day with a smile. And whether you're not feeling that smile deep inside, you might be wrestling with some challenges, just by actively doing it, it's like letting it come out of you, what is in there that needs to be expressed. And despite the conditions and situations and circumstances you're swimming in, you are still divinely you with a purpose. And so you have that choice. How are you going to handle today? You can wake up and go look at your calendar and go, ooh, this is going to be a little wonky. Well, you're going to go back to bed, pull the covers over your head. I mean, that's an option.
Yeah.
But choosing to seize the day is your choice to make that decision, how you're going to greet it, with kindness, with courage, with leadership, with your soul, with intuitive listening and compassion. And so when I wrote this series for kids, it's teaching them these same social, emotional learning ideas so that they can integrate them into their lives and hopefully grow up to be strong, resilient, and producing adults that that we all strive to be. So that's really how this whole movement, and it's kind of like this snowball gathering more and more things along the way. It's like, okay, it was going to be me speaking, and then and I'm writing this book, and then now I've got children's books, and now it's like, well, what's next? Do we make this an animated series? Do I go start speaking in schools? Like, I don't know, because again, I didn't know I was going to be doing this 6 months ago. So
I love what you're saying. It almost sounds like there's like a phrase that kept coming into my head, and you finally said the word. I was like, okay, there it is. It feels to me like a resilience revolution. I can feel like the resilience that you're building by overcoming some of these things builds up that confidence to continue to conquer things. It's like you want people to have small wins sometimes, so that they can build up to that big win, because if you can't jump 50 if we can't jump 12 inches, we won't be able to jump 50 feet.
Right.
So sometimes we need these little stepping stones, especially to build up that confidence, to continue to be like, okay, I made these smaller steps. Now time to make a big step, like taking a new career that you hadn't even anticipated.
Exactly. And I don't even know if it was a new career. I think it's an evolving career. And you said something really important about the little wins, because, I'm also a life coach, and I think that is so important for people to pat themselves on the back for those little wins. Your little win might have been, I did get out of bed today. Or your little win was, I crossed a couple things off that list of things I've been putting off, or whatever it is. If you could, at the end of every day, get in that habit of saying, yeah, I did some good stuff today.
Yeah.
And really celebrate it, because otherwise your nervous system just gets, oh, okay, well, that was no big deal. And then you're kind of on a flat line, where life isn't a flat line. It's that.
Yeah.
And so when you get up here and you crush something, celebrate it, whatever it is for you. But I think, I have a coach, and she always says, don't do something that you would automatically already do. Like if it was, like I'm going to go, have a glass of champagne, or, I'm going to take the night off and watch a movie or something. It's something that you would normally never do. So maybe it's something like a massage, something that you really feel like special. That's a treat, something very special. Yeah.
I love that. So much to unpack there.
Yes.
But I think one thing that's important is just the awareness, because I don't know if you've heard of the acronym ANTS, Automatic Negative Thoughts.
Ooh, no, that's a new one.
Yeah. So the brain has a default setting where 80% of our thoughts are naturally negative. And so like what you're saying is, if you focus on the positive, you're training your brain to slowly get out of that 80%.
Funk, yeah.
Yeah, because we wake up with a residual every day of these 80% negative, and 90% are leftover thoughts from yesterday. So by doing what you're saying, you're building up this new belief system and focusing towards the positive, which a fancy word is the reticulating activator system.
I love the RIS.
Yeah. So when you see those positive things in the future, and when you're in your life, your brain starts looking for more of them. So it's like when you get a Volkswagen, and you start seeing that same car everywhere.
Yes.
It's so important to put these little seeds into our brain so that we can grow into it. What's your thought on?
100%. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking RAS on the way out, because I made the decision yesterday that I'm getting a new Jeep. Now I drive in a fire engine red Jeep, and I've decided that blue is going to be my new color.
Love it.
The entire drive out here, blue Jeep. It's like, because I was like, I wonder if they still make blue Jeeps. So apparently they do. So it's funny that you talk about that, the RAS, but you were talking about self-awareness, and I also call it notice what you're noticing. And it's notice what you're noticing about your thoughts is so important. And I hadn't heard ants before, but I think that's a really good thing to tune into what our conscious thoughts, because those are 5% of our thoughts. It's the 95% under the iceberg that is bubble. We
don't realize is happening below the surface.
Yes. And so if you can pay attention to the thoughts that do pop in, and the self-talk. You know, I say the things that you say to yourself in the mirror, would you say that to your best friend? And so your little voice in you, your little soul, your little you, that is your best friend.
Yeah.
So how you treat her or him, or it's how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, how you celebrate yourself is so important and so foreign to so many people.
Well, it seems so obvious, but yet it's not, because I mean, let's use an example. Like you're in a classroom and you have one teacher that's loving and nurturing and builds you up. I mean, you're going to be excited to go to class. You're going to be thriving with this mentorship and nurturing. Or you can have the other, where the teacher's yelling at you and making you feel less of yourself and putting you down. That teacher is inside of us. And when I didn't realize that when I started cultivating my thoughts, I thought, man, I'm a real jerk to myself. I hadn't really tuned into that inner narrative. I didn't realize that when we ask ourselves a question, that subconsciously we're answering it, even if we don't hear the answer back. If we say, oh, I'm such an idiot, I forgot to do this, then we're programming that activating system to find more reasons why we are an idiot.
Exactly.
And like, I loved what you said. You didn't even know if they had a blue Jeep. Well, the blue Jeep was there. We just weren't looking for it. So in life, those good things are there. It's are we going to tune into the good things? Even like you said, even when life is going like this and there's bad experiences, there's oftentimes good out of even the bad.
Well, there is no bad experience.
Only learn.
There's experience. So it's what you can perceive from that. There are challenging things that happen, and most people would label, oh, that was a really bad thing that happened. It was a thing that happened.
Yeah, I love that.
It was a thing that happened, and I can say, well, you know, if it was a car accident, well, I'm still here. Or, you know, there's so many lessons. Was I not paying attention? Was there something that I could have shifted? Or a relationship that's crumbling, as opposed to looking externally and putting the blame out, taking that moment not in a negative way, but just in a learning way. You know, just I say, put on your lab coat and let's go in and see, well, what's going on? What's my part in this? And
we may never know some of it. I mean, maybe you're in a car accident and that saves your life, because a week after that, if you hadn't wrecked that car, you would have driven off of a bridge or something. We really can't comprehend or compute all of the mathematical equations of the possibilities in our life, but we are in control of how we think and feel about it.
And react,
Yes, and react.
Yeah, and knee-jerk reaction is, oh, this was terrible. This is bad. Gloom, doom, you know, it's over, whatever. And that's if we could switch that knee-jerk to, that's curious that happened. You know, like, let's see, I'm really excited to see what the lesson is. Like, what was gonna happen if I didn't, you know, well, you know, my flight was canceled. Well, maybe that was a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, and just getting curious about it rather than getting angry about it.
I had something happen in Malibu. I had gone to this really fabulous women's retreat, and it was by the co-founder of Equinox Gyms, and it was like this oceanfront thing. It was so lavish. All these women were incredible. I stayed till the very end. Well, I stayed till the end, and I got in my car, and my battery of my brand new car would not turn on. And everyone had pretty much left. And it was a weekend after, like, late on a weekend.
And it's dark.
And I had like 3% battery on my phone.
Oh, my
and I
goodness.
couldn't turn my car on to charge my phone.
Oh, my
goodness. So I even got locked in my car, because once I sat in the car, it wasn't unlocking. I couldn't get out. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? This is so awkward. So I really quick texted my location and my information for my Lexus to a friend and said, this is where I'm at. This is the number you need to call. Here's my VIN number. Like, help. And then, like, right then my battery was about to die. And this was so interesting, because the way I responded was totally different than how I would have ever responded. I wasn't stressed out. I wasn't paranoid. I really just, I organized my car while I was waiting there. And an ironic thing happened. The person was driving a Chevy Colorado, and I'm from Colorado. And they were in it was a white truck also. And my late father, who I've had a lot of, I've worked past a lot of things with this individual. Well, it was his name, the towing company.
Oh my goodness!
From the state that I'm from, so it was Bob's Towing from Colorado, and I was like, this is really hilarious because I knew there was a message behind it. And so on the drive home, I asked my highest self, I said, okay, I know there's a reason behind this. Now I have 3-hour drive home because I have to sit in traffic even longer. And I said, can you please use music to be my form of communication to tell me what the lesson was here? And the next 3 songs all pointed towards a message that I needed to hear. And even every word of it, I was listening to every word. I was like, okay, got it. Because people, places, situations, even music, your subconscious, because it doesn't have a verbal dialect, can use these things to communicate with us. So I called my friend and I said, look, this happened and it's all because of this. And they were like, what do you mean? Your battery died. It's not because of this message you got from the song. I said, no, actually, it's 100% about the message, but my battery had to die for me to hear it.
Wow.
And
that is so cool.
It's so cool, but it's
gosh.
a total shift in the way that you think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. How long have you been able to do that or been conscious that you're doing that?
Well, since I started my work in what I do with subconscious reprogramming, I've had to attune to a voice, and I've had to learn to find the positive out of things. So I would say 5 years ago, I would have just panicked. I would have stressed out. I probably would have been screaming and crying and woe is me. And I'm like, I don't know how I would have handled it. But I was calm, cool, collected, and I knew that the universe had a reason for it. And just knowing that old response that I would have had, and then like looking at the way I react to life, sometimes I find myself like interesting. I'm like, that's really curious. Like, that's really neat.
That's so great. I'm asking because I knew I had a very intuitive side of my nature. I'm going to say 40 years ago. And, I used to own a gym, and I would interview people to work, and I would have these crazy connections with people where we either knew each other in a past life, and I can count on 5 fingers people who felt it before I did and spoke up and said, have we met? There's something weird here. Like, and it was so goosebumpy. And then I would tell people, and they were like, okay, whatever, she's gone. She gone woo woo.
Yeah.
And so I stuffed it. I said, yeah, that's weird. But I feel like there's such an awakening now. And I don't know if it's my age, where I am in life, that I'm more curious and patient and want to learn at a deeper level. I don't know if or maybe it's a mixture of both, that I'm in the right place, right time, right mindset.
I would say yes. For me, to answer that question more directly, both. Yes. Because ever since I did what I did, this body of work that I teach, I have learned to shift myself even more. But I think the beginning of my gifts, because I think my gifts play into what I do, but I think that started at a very young age based on my trauma. And I think the way the brain rewires itself in traumatic experiences is to create a hypervigilance. It's to create these extra connections that a normal brain wouldn't have based on survival. So you do learn to tune into yourself for survival purposes.
Yeah.
Like if you had 2 little baby bunnies and one had a healthy, happy environment, and one of them was born out of trauma and had like a cat right up the street, like the baby bunny that was normal wouldn't really have a reason to need extra defense mechanisms, but the traumatized bunny needs that to survive. It needs to know when to run. It needs to know extra tools and resources to survive. So I think when you have childhood trauma, I think you just get to connect to those gifts in a deeper, earlier way.
Interesting.
I think everyone has.
That's interesting.
I think everyone has them, but people who've been through traumatic experiences have more neural connections based on survival.
Interesting. I didn't have any traumatic experiences. I mean, I have more after that time period. So I don't know, but I think it was maybe you're right. It was more life experience led me down and created more resilience. We go back to that word, survival. And I love to say it's if you could take somebody from survival to thrival, if that's a word, to thriving, where, and so many people just go through the same day. It's like Groundhog's Day. Wake up, make the coffee, get the kids to school, go to work, come home, make dinner, watch Netflix, go to bed, rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
and
autopilot, and you're not even living.
Yeah, and that's I consider that survival mode, and they're content. And I just feel that every soul knows that there's something more for them.
But are they really content, or are they just ignorant to knowing, or
they're choosing
or stuck?
That. Yeah, they're stuck, perhaps. But they're stuck, and they're just allowing to stay stuck. And then there's people who have gone a little bit further that are like, this doesn't feel good anymore. I don't want to be stuck. I know there's something more for me. And I was that person. And I was so stubborn. I would not raise my hand and say, I'm Superwoman. I can figure stuff out. I can fix my own toilet. I couldn't fix my own heart. And I couldn't change the trajectory of my life. I tried, I dabbled, and then fear would bubble up going, well, who are you to do that? Nobody taught you how to do that, or you didn't go to school for that, or whatever. And it's like, and so then I would stop. I would shrink. And I feel like that these are the people I want to reach out and grab you and say, come join me, because life is so beautiful on the other side when you just raise your hand and say, okay, give me the tools. You're figuring this out. I'm just a couple steps ahead. I don't have it all figured out, but I feel like that was my strong calling, is I want to help people who were me 10 years ago. Yeah. Just get to this next level.
And then it brings purpose to all that stuff we went through.
Yes, and it does.
Being able to sit across from someone and them saying, I've never known anyone that's gone through a similar thing. It warms your heart. And I know I get this question a lot, and you probably do too. I'm interested to hear your perspective. People ask me all the time, like, Crystal, why do you do what you do? And I'd love to hear your answer to this question. But I think there's nothing more beautiful than when someone's had nothing but darkness, to be able to see that light come back to their eyes, and be able to see them like come online again and come back to their wholeness. I think that's one of the most beautiful things in the whole world, is to see someone like that light come back.
That's a gift for sure. I think that is a definite why, is helping people see their own light and to step into it. And what was a quote I saw somewhere I was reading, where is, don't dim your light just because it's shining in someone else's eyes.
Exactly.
I don't know who said that, but I'm like, I got to figure that out.
I think it's an author unknown, but it's
is that what it is? Still author unknown?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll claim that author unknown. But, the same thing. When I was in fitness, I used to love to see the light bulb go on, like, oh, this is how you do a lunge, and it doesn't hurt my knee, or this is how I'm supposed to eat, or whatever, and seeing those little light bulbs off on such a this surface level, and then to take this, oh, this is what it feels like to vibrate up here.
Yes.
And it's like, I've been through some dark tunnels, and I know the secret way out. I know the little pathways, and I'll carry the flashlight. All you got to do is say, I'm ready to go.
I totally hear you on that.
And then, just pull them out, and then they come. Oh, it's like a rebirth of, oh my gosh, this is what it looks like over here, on the other side of your fear.
And why wouldn't they want to have someone like yourself or myself to guide them out of it, or they could stay stuck? I know I stayed stuck for 5 years. It was a solid 5 years where I knew I needed to move forward, and it took me so long. And I had 2 mentors helping me in those 5 years to get out of that situation. But I know personally that paralyzation feeling is awful.
I'm going to say 15 years for me.
Wow.
I wasn't paralyzed, but I was, I I was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know what step I'm supposed to go. And I think part of that was I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like, it was like the perfect storm of my marriage ended. My kids left home. My poor yellow lab passed away. And it was like all these things I used to be, super mom, super wife, super dog mom. I'm not any of those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And some people could look at that as freedom. Let's go. Let's have this wild, fun life. And I kind of did for a little bit. It was like, well, this isn't what I was looking for. And it's not sustainable. It's not fulfilling.
What would you tell our audience if they were in that situation right now where they're feeling a little stuck? They want to move forward. They know they have a passion and purpose that's deeper than what they're living. They know that they're meant for something more, but they're not sure what step to take, that first step.
The first step is to call your girl Beth Robbins.
Absolutely.
And Crystal, of course. But I would say the first step is just getting quiet and get the noise and the chatter out, and just either, if it's putting on meditation music where you can just get down to the basic cellular level of your breath and breathe and ask the questions, of the universe, what is the divine path for me? Allow me to get in that space where I can hear, where I can see, where I can feel, and know in my heart what the next step is. And then it's just giving yourself permission to dream. I talk in my when I do a lot of speaking, I talk about, think back when you were a kid, and grown-ups would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, we'd say, I want to be a fairy princess or a doctor or an astronaut or whatever. And the adults would say, oh my gosh, that's so great that you're going to be awesome at that. And you really believed it. And then life happened. And you're like, well, that was silly. I can't be a fairy princess. I can't, and that's too audacious of a dream. I don't have the education, the resources, the connections to do that. And so we put those dreams on the side and we take the safe path. If you can go back and give yourself permission to really dream, and I do a vision thing, I call it time machine, where we now take you, and it's 1 year from today, and it's all worked out, and you are living your dream life. And I have people just talk to me for 3 straight minutes in the present tense, but it's a year from now. And it starts off, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And you go into the raw, juicy details of a scene in that time.
Exactly.
What you're wearing, where you are, what you're doing, who's around you, what are the smells and the sounds in the room.
Yeah.
And really get all 5 senses juiced up doing this, and write it. Don't edit. Write drunk. Edit sober. But just write it out. And let it pour out of every pore of your body. And then take a little snapshot of what that feels like. And that's why I love to verbalize it, because then you go, and then, and it's almost like you're talking to a 5-year-old who's telling you about this exciting thing that happened that day at school. And then this other thing happened, and all these cool stuff flew in and whatever. And you have that same exuberant excitement with your grown-up voice. And just memorize what that felt like. And then know you can have all of that, because you were born with that purpose. Your purpose in life is to suck the juice out of life. That's it. You're never going to get it all done. You're probably not going to get a lot of it right, but you're going to have a blast doing it, living it. And that's where you go from content, survival, to thrival. You're living the dream. And it's Raymond Halliwell, The Hidden Laws of the Universe. And that was 1937 or 1939 that he wrote it. And the law of attraction is in there. And he talks about when you cast out that dream, that desire that you want to have, at the same time you cast out the expectation of achievement. And that's when you go into acting as if you're already this person. You lead your life. You conduct your day as if you're that person who's already living it. And you just keep doing that day after day after day. I am the woman who has an empire. I am changing
Release
lives.
the expectation of how it's going to happen, but
Exactly.
just visualize that it's already
It's
existing.
already happening.
And what it looks like, what it feels like.
Yeah.
Every little detail is so important to get to that, because we don't know what to look for if we can't visualize it in our brain. So,
right. And the two details you don't ever need to know at that moment are how or when. Mm-hmm. It's doesn't matter. It's none of your business at this point. It's the what and the why and the who am I going to become.
It's so good.
Yeah, and you know what? Do it at any age. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or 98. As long as you still have a pulse and you're breathing, you have the birthright to dream.
And in so many different facets of life. Sometimes people are like, Crystal, you do all these randomly weird things. And I'm like, yes, I love all the different sides of me. You can find me, at a country concert or belly dancing or jumping out of an airplane, like just whatever, like just look at a crystal. The more facets it has, the more it sparkles.
Yeah.
So I think we should lean into some of those things that maybe we don't really think are our gifts. So, like for me, I have a title of Miss National United States Woman of Achievement, and I use that to help veterans remove PTSD. But I had women laugh at me because I had won several other pageants before that. I never intended in getting back into pageantry. It was something from when I was a little girl. I went at 15 door to door and to business and crowdfunded a beauty pageant coach and bought my own gown and took care of everything on my own. And I won first runner-up in 2 pageants, and then I tucked it away and never thought of it again. And then after my separation, and when I came back to being the new me in 2020, I got invited to a business networking event that ended up being a beauty pageant casting call.
Oh my
goodness. And I randomly got brought back into this world that I never thought I would be part of. But you know what? There's something about the little girl inside of me that is so proud that because when I won one, I got first runner up, and then I won another one. But I wasn't willing to keep getting first runner up. I really wanted to prove to myself that I believed in myself and that I would show up for myself. But I would challenge our audience that, whatever, like you said, what did you like when you were little? What did you want to be? Maybe there's areas of your life that you didn't get to explore because you tucked away like I did, thinking, oh, someone's going to laugh at you. And I had literally people putting the laughy emoji on stuff I was doing. And I was like, Wow. And then I looked back, and it was someone that I had done the beauty pageant when I was a young girl. And I noticed that she isn't doing anything like that in her life, and I am, and she probably was laughing at me because there was a part of her that would probably like to resurrect that part of herself. So I was like, I'm not going to be offended by that, because I think that's more of a you problem than a me problem.
You just sparked something to me. The first book that I wrote that came out this year is Make Your Life a Beautiful Story, Life Lessons I Learned from My Mother. And when my mother was a little girl, and her whole life, she wanted to be a cowboy. She loved horses. She just wanted to be in and around them. And she kind of lived vicariously through me, because she arranged a deal where I had full access to a horse through a friend of our friend. And she just always had that. And after my dad passed, she volunteered at a stud farm for a certain type of pony. They're not big, but the studs are big horses. And she was doing that the day before she had a massive stroke that changed her life. But the happiest woman ever, and so in love with life, because she was finally living out her dream of working with horses. And the funny little story behind that is, I think it was her 75th birthday, one of those birthdays, I gifted her a trip to Colorado with my sister. And one of the activities I had was that she would go on a cattle drive. And I thought, this is going to be huge, right? She's going to be so excited. And so, she'd be on the horse and they're running around and herding the cattle and all this stuff. Well, what I didn't know about my mother was terribly afraid of cows.
Oh.
So it was the worst gift.
Wow.
Other than the fact that she was riding a horse in Colorado with the Rockies.
Bittersweet.
So anyway, be careful what you think you wish for, or tell people about your childhood dreams. But
yeah.
But that was the thing, she full circle in her mid 70s until she had her stroke. She was living her dream finally of being around horses. So
that brought up a really great little thing in my mind when you said that. The thought was live vicariously through yourself.
Yeah.
Because people often do live vicariously through their children.
Yes.
When there's like something that they didn't get to achieve, they'll like build their child up so they can see them achieve it. But I think the deeper like satisfaction or happiness that would be to find those things that nourish you and release expectation from yourself and judgment from yourself, because I've seen big hulking like bodybuilder guys that were dungeon masters, like like there's could be more than one side to you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and embrace it.
There is multifacets in your crystal.
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
I love that phrase. Like, I'm gonna go look at all my crystals when I get home.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just thinking of my mother riding through the horrible cows.
And that's personal preference too.
Yes.
What might nurture one person might not nurture another, but I think that's the beautiful part of being individuals, is we get to decide what we like and what we don't like. And if we really don't like something and we want to change that, then to our audience, you can change things that you don't like. I now like tomatoes, which I've never was able to eat my entire life.
Wow.
One time I was in a drive-through and they only had sourdough bread, and I didn't care for sourdough bread, and it was easier for me to reprogram my mind than to go find another location. So I was like, okay, I'm like sourdough now.
Okay.
So there's very practical ways that you can support yourself. And definitely I would love for our audience to reach out to you for more tips and wisdom. And how can they reach out to you, and is there any advice or tips you would like to impart with them?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, you can reach me at balancedlifeproductions.com, and very soon bethrobbins.com, which is even easier to think about. That one is more for all my books. I've got 7 coming out this year. But balancedlifeproductions.com, you can contact me and we can hang out, get on a call. And let's see, my parting words. I think the most important thing for anyone to understand is that you have a power breathing you that is far greater than any circumstance or situation or condition that you might be swimming in right now. Whatever challenges that you might be facing, you have the power within you to rise above and out and on, and you were born to have a beautiful life that you truly love, and to make all your dreams come true. And give yourself permission to dream, to write down, what are all those things that I wanted to do as a kid? I remember my ex-husband wanted to work at Disney one day. I don't know if it's ever going to come true for him, but my son wanted to work at Disney too, because he thought that ATMs would give him all the money that he needed. So anyway, but you have a dream in your heart. It was put there on purpose, and all the gifts that you need to make that dream come true are right there with it. So believe in yourself. I believe in you.
That's great. You officially have permission to dream. Thank you, Beth, for joining us today. Thank you to the audience. We love that you got to celebrate another wonderful episode with us. If you found this episode helpful, or you know someone that would benefit from some coaching from someone like Beth, please share this episode. That's how we grow. And look forward to seeing you on the next episode. We'll see you then.